everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Walter Pulowski, and I'm going to be your webinar moderator for today. And today we're going to be talking about Snagit. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to make this video available afterwards. So if for any reason during this live stream you have any problems, if your internet connection gets choppy for any reason, this is going to be available afterwards. We're going to post it on YouTube. And because you've subscribed to this webinar, we're going to make sure we send you a hyperlink. So as you're watching it, if you want to expand it and make it full screen in the lower right-hand corner, you should be able to do that. Below the webinar today, we have a chat window. And then in another room, we've got various TechSmithies answering those chat questions. Towards the end, we're going to make sure that we get to as many of those as we possibly can. So please go ahead and as we're going through and showing you the different features today, please go ahead and ask those chat questions. And then towards the end, we'll make sure we cover as many of those as we possibly can. At this point, I'd like to introduce our host for today's webinar, Tiffany Wood. No, wait a second. You're not Tiffany. We've got a different guest today. We did say it was going to be Tiffany, but with us we have Erika Smith. Erika's an instructional designer here at TechSmith. She's the person that puts together all the help on our help site, puts together our tutorials. So if you have questions, if you'd like to see additional tutorials, Erika's the person you're going to want to talk to. So thank you very much for joining us today, Erika.
Thanks, Walter. I'll start out with a little introduction about Snagit. We are in Snagit 11 right now, and that was in March, and we have some new outputs and some updated stamps and graphics in there. Also, some scrolling support for Chrome. And the big one was the instantly shareable video. So you can import or export an MP4 right out and share it with anybody that's interested.
Great. Well, Snagit's been one of our products. I mean, Snagit's the reason we have jobs, right? Snagit's been around for over 21 years now, and there are a lot of people with older versions of Snagit out there. So we are going to be showing you the latest and greatest and what you can do with that. But a lot of the same features, many of the same features exist in older versions, and we'll talk about how you can check what version you have as we talk about the different features today. So.
Well, and since the release of Snagit 11, we also have an update, which is Snagit 11.1. And with that, we added system audio and also some Windows 8 capability. So if you have Windows 8, you're able to use Snagit on there.
Okay. And today, you might notice that Erika's on the Mac, but she's running a virtualized environment. So we're actually showing you Snagit for Windows today, so I don't want that to confuse anybody. We've got a Mac webinar tomorrow. If you're interested in that, you're welcome to register. But today we are going to be showing you traditional Snagit. So.
All right, well, let's get started. I'm going to just show you around Snagit to start out with, and then I'm going to show you hopefully some cool examples, some things you might be able to do in Snagit. So start out. This is the Snagit Capture window, and this is kind of where you can start your captures. You can change the settings about how you capture. You can do, if you want to capture an image or you want to capture a video or text, Snagit can capture just about anything that's on your screen. So from this window, that's where we can make those settings. The other window that comes up with Snagit is the Snagit editor. And this is where you can, once you've captured those images, you can add callouts or change the size or arrows, add some great effects, and maybe organize your captures in the library. So basically that's kind of an introduction to the two windows within Snagit, two areas. And so first I'm going to kind of show you a little project that I was working on and how I've used Snagit to add some interest to that. Okay, so I'm working on this minimalist running PowerPoint, and I need some images in there. So what I'm going to do is use Snagit to capture those images. Okay, so I'm going to go into Firefox, and I have, this is just a website, and it has an image in there, and I really would like to capture this image. So I'm going to go in and bring up the Snagit Capture window, and you'll see down in the bottom right corner here, that's the Capture button. And I'm looking to capture an image, so you can see the image is selected here. You can also select image from up in the capture profiles as well. But for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and when you're ready, you can click the capture button. And you can also use a hotkey, which is actually default to print screen. But I guess Walter pointed out, since I'm on a Mac, I have to use set up my own hotkey, which I use Control P.
Print screen's an easy one to remember.
It is. It sure is.
That one works well.
Okay, so let's go and try it out. All right, so I'll click the capture button, and then we get up what's called the crosshairs. You can see those on the screen, the yellow crosshairs, and basically what that does is indicate when you're going to start your capture. So you can click and then drag over an image, just like that, and you can see this magnifying glass here that's also there. Notice you can kind of see a very zoomed in image or very zoomed in picture of what you're capturing. So if I want to go like really close to the bottom of this image, I can look at that magnifier and then I just let go, and then the image comes up in my editor.
And now you don't have to get that perfect. If you didn't get it perfect, you can go ahead and manipulate that afterwards and snag it if you wanted to, but that's good for getting it right the first time.
Yep, absolutely. And Walter had a good point there too, so let's look at that. So he was saying that you could edit it later. So let's say that I start a capture, and then I can capture this whole area, and that's also going to come up. Now I don't want all that, so I can use these handles here, which is really neat, and just kind of bring in the edges there to show just what I want. Very easy, very quick.
So those little dots there on the side, that's what you're calling handles, and you just drag those in.
Yep. Okay. You know, and you can do it by the corner too, just like that. Okay, so once I have my image, you can either just share the image out like that or put it into the PowerPoint, or you can add some effects to it. I like to do, you can put in a border, and so you can click on that color, and then the other thing you can do is the width of the border. So if you want a really thin border, you can select that, or you can go up to like a super thick border. You can see it displays on the screen as you hover over the different sizes of pixels. So I'm going to go ahead with a 4-pixel one. And now there's a couple ways to get this out and into my PowerPoint. I can just copy, and there's like a copy all button here. You can use that on the draw tab, and you would just click that, and then you can go to PowerPoint, and this is the slide I want it to go on to. And so you can just paste it using a right click, or you can do a Control-V. Okay? And I'm going to place my image there right in my PowerPoint. And it has a border on it, so it kind of sets it out from the PowerPoint. So that's one way to do it. Let's go back to Snagit, and I'm going to minimize the editor here. I also want to, the cool thing about Snagit is not only can you select just an image, but you can also select like an entire page. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And even a page that is not all displayed on your screen. So you know, you have those really long pages that are going on. Well, you can use Snagit to capture the entire page. Okay, so
sometimes we get the question, well, what's the difference between Snagit and print screen? And the answer is a whole heck of a lot. I mean, absolutely. It's like print screen on steroids. And try doing this in print screen. So if you're a print screen person, try doing this.
Okay, so we're going to go back into Snagit. Again, you can use your hotkey or just click the capture button. Okay, and then for scrolling capture, you can see down at the bottom of my screen, I have this little arrow right here. And that basically allows me to capture all the stuff that is not displayed on my screen and below or above. And you can see that it says vertical. There is also, if I had my screen in a little bit further, it would also scroll to the right too. Okay, so you can do horizontal and vertical. As you get towards the edge, it shows you that little, Yep, so we'll go ahead and just click that. And it takes a second, you know, especially if it's a really long web page, it'll take a second to capture everything.
And this is definitely something that browser technology changes pretty frequently. So having the latest version of Snagit really helps with this, because browser versions are always updating, and some of the technology that exists now didn't exist when we made Snagit 10 or Snagit 9. So the ability to scroll really does get affected by version-to-version upgrades. So one of my favorite things that I like to do with scrolling pages is sometimes you want like a part of the page, maybe like at the top, and then you want like another part towards the bottom. And there's a lot of and I want to get rid of that stuff, but I want people to know that there was stuff kind of in between there. Yeah.
And so I'm going to show you this really cool feature. First, I know at the bottom of this, there's tons of stuff that
all the citations.
Yes, all that I don't want. So I'm gonna scroll. Oops. I'm gonna grab the handle again, like I showed you before, and then we're gonna kind of go up, and I'm just gonna get rid of that, all that blah at the bottom that I don't really need. Okay. So I'm gonna stop at the bottom of this right here. Okay. So now the other thing that we have is what's called the cutout tool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out everything between this part and that last article part at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to use this tool called Cutout. And you can see that there's many options in there. You can just have space in there. You can kind of have like a jagged edge, or you can have shark tooth or waves, that kind of stuff. And you can do that both horizontally and vertically. So I'm going to pick the waves. Okay, and then you get a line on the screen. And so basically what this line indicates is where do you want to start removing stuff. Okay. So you can just click on that, and then it's going to remove everything that is turning gray. Okay? So I'm going to go way down to the bottom, and I wanted to include the barefoot-inspired footwear. Okay? So I'm going to let go. And then you're going to look between there, and you can see that it cut the image in half, kind of, and then it has this waveform in the middle. And if you change the canvas color, you can see on the back there's kind of some white and gray
what does that mean?
Squares. That's a transparent background. So that means when I paste this image onto something else, you'll be able to see whatever's behind it.
Gotcha. So if there's a blue background, it's going to show blue there. If it's black, it'll show black. Okay.
Yep.
And that's something that's new as of version, what version? I believe it's 11, right?
No, it was before that.
Was it 11? Was it 10?
10, maybe.
10? All right. So that's a relatively...
I haven't been here that long, Walter.
Not
as long as Walter
here. The ancient ones, but
yeah.
So yeah, that is something that's relatively new, either 10 or 11. And so if you, before, it would have just been white if you had done that.
Yep. Okay, so I'll show you the Share tab. Okay, so here we have Share tab. This is where all these outputs that you have to automatically go to different places. Okay, so I showed before how to copy and paste into PowerPoint, but this time I want to, I'm going to use the output. So I just want to make sure that I'm on the right slide. So I want it to go to this slide. So I'm going to select that slide, and then I'm going to go back to my Snagit editor, and then I just click the PowerPoint output. And when I click that, it tells me that it was successfully sent to PowerPoint. Then I can go look. And remember how I told you before that it was going to the background was going to show through? You can kind of see. Yeah. Looks kind of cool. Very professional, you know. So I thought I'd have a couple of example articles in my PowerPoint.
Now it looks like it's shrunken down a little bit. This is a question that we often get from customers.
Absolutely.
Why is it shrunken down now that you pasted it into PowerPoint?
Well, when you paste things into PowerPoint, basically what it's doing is shrinking down to fit on that slide.
Gotcha. So it's actually something that kind of PowerPoint's doing automatically.
Yep.
And if you want to, a lot of times you can go into PowerPoint and you can change those dimensions if you really want to make it larger.
Yes, yep, so. You can do that. Another thing too is just kind of be aware of what size your PowerPoint is and what size your images are, and kind of adjust accordingly. Make sure you're going to put images that you can clearly see that fit within the size of that PowerPoint.
Now, what would have happened if you didn't have PowerPoint open? You had PowerPoint open and it took it right to that slide that you were on. But if you didn't have PowerPoint open, what would have happened when you clicked that PowerPoint button?
Yeah, it would open a new, just blank presentation. Okay. Yeah.
All right, great.
Okay. Oh,
and one other quick thing. You might notice that the icons for PowerPoint, she's state of the art here, Erika. she's running the latest and greatest version of PowerPoint. So that's the reason. If you're running PowerPoint 2007 or 2010, this will all still work with it. She's just running the state of the art version here.
Yeah. This is 2013 for people that haven't seen that yet. So.
She was showing me Outlook earlier, and I was like, "What is that? I don't recognize that program."
All right, so the cutout tool, and we did the output to PowerPoint. So that kind of shows you what you can do with PowerPoint. I also like to, as I spoke of before, that we have instantly shareable video. So I'd like to look at recording a video and some cool things that you can do with that.
Great.
Okay, so we use Trello to kind of track our tasks. And so what I'm going to do is record a video to kind of show people how to do that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to make sure that I have what I'm going to record up and on the screen. Then I'm going to go back to Snagit. And this time we're going to do a video capture. Now up here are the capture profiles. You can select video here in this area, or you can select it here. But you can always see that when on the capture button, once you've selected video, it changes from the camera, like it was an image, to like the video strip or film strip, I guess, you know, but from back in the day when we watched film strips. So
yeah, they don't really
in
exist
school,
so
right?
much anymore, but sure, it's recognizable at least.
Yep.
Now, one quick question before you do this. Video existed before Snagit 11. What is the big difference between what video is now and what it was prior to this latest version?
Well, now we output an MP4, which is like pretty much a format that's shareable just about everywhere.
Gotcha.
And it's much faster and quicker.
So ultimately,
easier to use.
This is a format that you really are going to want to share with people. That was the format that we used before. It was kind of an older format that you needed to have the right player and things like that. A little harder to share. This is the same one that's used by standard places like YouTube. Right?
Exactly. Okay, so basically now I'm ready to start a video capture. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust my screen just a little bit. I want this to be a little bit smaller. Okay, and then the other thing that I didn't mention was I want to make sure that there's nothing else behind it. So because we have that, it's kind of that translucent, so things are showing through. So I make sure that that's the only thing on my screen.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now we'll bring up the capture window again, and then I'm going to go ahead and select video capture. Okay. Now you can see that the crosshairs are back up, just like image capture, but there's also which I didn't mention before when I was doing image, there is a yellow box that's all around this window, okay? So what that means is that you don't have to click and drag. You can just click once, and it'll capture just that window.
So it's recognizing certain areas of your screen. If you were to go down on maybe the taskbar down there, it's recognizing certain areas, so you don't really have to make it perfect. You just say click and go.
Snagit Smart, it automatically knows that, hey, there's a window there, go right to the edge of that.
Great. So two options, just the single click to select whatever region it did by default, or that click and drag to select your own specific region.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click. That's going to take a minute to load. And then you can see the recording window up here. And you can see the yellow kind of box with the little film strip edge again on the side. That's indicating the area that you're going to be recording. Okay, and it tells you that it's ready to record in this little message box here. You can also see that there's a microphone audio or system audio. So if and if you look down here at the bottom here in the recording toolbar, there's a button. This is for the microphone, and when you click that, it's going to record your voice or anything, noises that are coming like with in the room. Okay, and you can see as I talk that the bar there is kind of indicating that it's picking up my voice.
And I'm a computer nerd, and I've got a lot of different microphones to choose from, and I typically don't want to record just my my laptop microphone. How do I choose if I have other microphones? Can I choose those other microphones? How do I do that?
There's a little drop down here, and it'll let you record other microphones that you have available.
So any microphone that shows up in Windows should appear in that little drop down. You could select that and get higher quality audio from something like a USB mic.
The other thing that people sometimes want to record is system audio. And system audio is basically any sound that would be coming out of your speakers. Like it might be the sound that you're listening to from a video, or maybe you're watching this webinar later. I'm sure a lot of people want to watch it because we're so entertaining, right?
So engaging.
And it's engaging, yes, absolutely. So when you click the system audio button, that will pick up those types of noises. It could also be like alerts that come, like an email notification, or if you get into any websites that have alerts on them or anything like that, then those noises will be picked up when you select system audio as well.
And this is something that a lot of our customers definitely wanted to do before. And they'd put their speakers right next to their microphone.
And all kinds of wire configurations and stuff like that.
That's one way to do it. It's not a great way to do it, but that's one way to do it. System audio is a relatively recent feature, right? What version is that in, and what systems are supported?
That is just into the 11.1 update, and
so you have to have the latest and greatest in order to get the system audio.
And then System audio, what was the other question?
Yeah, no problem.
I must be getting old because it just, I know there was another question you asked me.
Yeah, I got to do that multi-part. I got to.
Operating system.
Right. So if you're running older systems, you can't really run this. If you're running XP, I'm sorry, you're going to have to upgrade at some point. We apologize. We can't really do it easily on, we can't do it at all on Windows XP, and it's not available on Windows Vista. So you'll have to run either Windows 7 or Windows 8 in order to get that system audio feature. Otherwise, you got to kind of use those other workaround steps.
Okay, so basically what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to record system audio because there's no system audio in here. But two more buttons I wanted to point out would be the redo selection. So if you get to this point and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's not the area I wanted, then you can use this to, it'll go back. It won't stop, like once you've clicked the capture button, you'll still be able to, here, I'll just show you. Instead of talking about it, why don't I just show you? Okay, so basically I click that, and then I get to select again. So if I decided that maybe I only wanted like just this window, then I could select that area at this point. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and just select the actual page like we were doing before. Okay, and then there's also a cancel button. So if you're like, yeah, I don't want to record this anymore, you just click on that.
And you could always decide that after the fact as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click record, and it's gonna give me a countdown, and it also gives a hotkey to how you can stop it. If you were doing a full screen recording, then that's helpful to be able to do the start and stop with the hotkeys, since that way the recording toolbar doesn't get in the way.
Gotcha.
Okay, so basically what I wanted to show on here is just like how to move cards from here. Let's see, how to add a card. Okay. So then I have a card, and I'm going to assign myself to that card. And so basically that's how we use Trello. So, you know, I might make it a little more detailed if I was doing it for real. But anyway, so when I get done with my video, then I just click stop. Okay. And it's going to finalize the video. And boom, that fast, it's right there and ready for me to do something with. Okay. So one thing that you can do is you can share it to our screencast.com. And that's our hosting site. And you, for free, you can store your images, video. You can even, if you have a video and you want to attach like files with it, like maybe you have a document that goes along with your video, you can also put those documents up there too.
And if you are a Jing customer, you automatically have a screencast.com account. You actually created one as part of the Jing process. So 2 gigabytes of bandwidth per month, and then 2 gigabytes of storage. So if you don't have a place to store it, that's an option.
Absolutely. Okay, so we had my video. You can preview it here. Just press the play button. To how you can stop it. If you were doing a full screen recording. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. Plays back the audio. You can you can scoot through it frame by frame. You can go to the end or to the beginning using these buttons here, or you can use this to scrub across your video, and that'll change. You can see the mouse kind of going right. I'm not really doing much on the screen, so you can kind of see there, scrubbing back and forth. And it does give you the time and the place where you are at.
Okay.
And then this is a cool button, and I'm going to come right back to that after this. Okay.
All right.
So screencast.com, we're going to go ahead and share it to screencast.com, and it's just telling me that it's uploading. And then right there, the link, it's ready to share. Okay, so when you're sharing videos, like these videos are bigger files. So you're not going to want to email those to people or, file save as and then ship those off, because people won't be able to get those in their email, and then you won't be able to do that.
Those file attachments will often be blocked, and then you're back in that situation, like what player are they using, all that kind of stuff,
Yep, so this is a really easy way. So upload it to my screencast.com account, and then the link is right on my clipboard. So basically all I have to do is open an email, and then I just Control V, paste it right in there, and there's the link ready to share. So I can just send it to whoever I want, Walter. Anyway, click send, and
don't show my email address. I don't want people emailing me crazy stuff. But yeah, you could do that not only in an email message, but if you were just chatting with somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can do an IM.
That just seems a lot easier, and I know just from experience, it's a lot easier than writing out that 2-page document explaining, okay, click here, add here, click here, just record it and share it, and that takes as long as it takes you to describe it.
Yes, absolutely.
So, well, and almost as good as being there, right?
Yes, almost. Yeah. Well, and you're that go-to person too. That somebody is always asking the same question, and by the time you get it about 5 times, you just save that, and then every time you get a question, you just, I made a video. and send that out. So
that's ideal.
nice.
That can save you a ton of time. It's have one good response that you're constantly sending people instead of these, partial responses with a little bit of text every time.
Right. Okay, so that's one way to share out your video. Another thing I talked about was having documents on the bottom. So one of the documents that the way I like to use video is to create step-by-step guides. Okay. And I don't know if anybody's developed training or any kind of step-by-step guide, but you get some screen captures and you're like, oh, I really don't like that screen capture. I wish I would have gotten the capture like a little bit earlier in the process. Like I wish that field wasn't filled in yet, or I wish I would have gotten a screen capture of this, but I didn't. So now I got to go back and redo the whole process again. Yeah. Well, this way, once you've recorded the process, then you can just capture a frame. And if you want something different, you can go back and capture a different frame. Okay. And so what the capture frame does is it creates an image from your video. So you find the point in your video. So I have a Word document that I'm making called Task Management, and I want to add some screenshots from the Trello. Okay, so I'm going to go back into Snagit Editor, okay, and I'm going to find the point where I click on Add. So you can see right there I do Add a Card. Okay, so that's right where I want it.
Gotcha.
So once I can get it really specific, and then I just click this button right here, Capture Frame. And then an image comes into the Snagit editor, which is great. Now, this is a little bit big for my Word document. So again, I'm going to just bring in the image just a little bit using the handles here, okay? And I probably don't need all that either. Okay, so that's good. It kind of shows, just what I want to show. And then I'm going to use another image effect here. Let's see. I think I use the edge effect, and I'm kind of partial to the wave. I don't know. Okay. There's also the torn edge. It looks like it was torn. Okay.
Every time you go to football games, you're the one starting it.
Yep.
The wave. Okay.
Oh, maybe not. Okay, so we have the torn edge, and this is a super cool feature because it allows you to really control, like where the edges are, how big they are and small they are. So here, basically this top part, the effect size, you can adjust that, and you can see that their edges are getting really, 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 really tiny, and then they kind of get further apart as you, like more jagged and bigger. Yep. Okay, and then you can also apply it to different edges. Okay, so we can apply it to the left side, and then not these two sides, or we can apply it only to the top. So you kind of get the idea. I like to use it to show, like, hey, this is not the whole image. Yeah. This is just a part of the image. So I use the edges to kind of show that. But you can also change. You can see that there's a drop shadow on there. You can change the amount of shadow that you have. You can change the shadow color. You can change where it's coming from. Okay. You can also add an outline too. The outline probably wouldn't make sense with the jagged edges in this case, but maybe it would. Okay. If you want a little thinner. Yeah, maybe a little bit of an outline. Yeah. So you can change that. Whoa! Okay, maybe not that much. Yeah, right. Oops. Okay. So anyway, so I got that. Yep. Now I'm gonna, I'm done with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that into my Word document. Now I just made, in my Word document, I just made sure my cursor was right where I wanted it. Okay. And again, you can use the outputs that we had before. Not only is there a PowerPoint, but there's a Word too as well. So we can just click on the Word output, and it tells me that it was sent. It tells me the document that it was sent to, and I bring up my document, and there it is, right there.
That looks good.
Yeah. So I could go through and I can just capture all the frames within that process that I want and just continue to build this document.
That's pretty unique, and that's actually not the way that I would have thought that you would have done it. But you're creating a video to then create a series of images. Mm-hmm. So you're taking the images from the video rather than doing screenshot, screenshot. You then have that one kind of repository or that one session that you can pull all your images from. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And one of the other things, I don't know if you ever work with like somebody else too, like somebody else is going to make the video or record it, like somebody that knows how, and then you're going to make the document from it. So it's very handy.
So they just share with you one file rather than 30 files.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yep. And then if, maybe you didn't want that one, so you can just scroll a little bit further in the video and take a different screen. Yep. Okay, so let's see.
At this point, let me just remind people that we are taking questions. We're going to get to questions at the end. Erika is going to be able to answer those for you. So please make sure that in the chat widget below, we've got a bunch of TechSmithians in another room, and they'll be responding to you as well. So please make sure that you ask those questions in the chat widget, and then we'll make sure that we answer those towards the end.
All right, a couple things I wanted to show about organization. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all your images and stuff, and you want to, like, stuff that's really important, you want to save that.
Yeah.
You know, so if you get a capture and you're like, yeah, this is something that I know I'm going to keep, you want to save that, and you can do that using file save as. And we have multiple. You can do a PNG, you can do a JPEG. You know, there's multiple ways to save that.
Snagit supports almost any format that you're possibly ever going to want to use in images. When you go in the save as and file formats, you're going to get things that not too many people or ever use. But
right.
You can find whatever you want there.
Okay, so but the other thing that you can do is there's a search pane and also the library. Okay, so in the library, basically you can will display what you click on in the search pane.
Now, just to interrupt you for 1 second, how do you get to that? Because sometimes that doesn't even show, and so I missed how you got to that.
That was a little fast, sorry about that. Okay, so basically if you're in, I'm back here and where I was. The library is here, this folder.
Okay.
And then, so you can just click on that and your library will come up. Now, on the right side is the search pane, and there's like a little tiny kind of arrow there, and you click on that, and that'll expand the search pane.
Gotcha. There are a lot of people that, because it's kind of collapsed, they may never know that they've got all this rich functionality on that far right-hand side. So I would encourage you to just expand that. It does give you more real estate if you minimize it, but that's so valuable for getting to images that you've captured before, or video that you've captured before. So.
Yep. So there's you can display all the images that you've captured. Video, which I haven't done very many. Actually, I just got my computer reloaded a couple days ago, so this is all new stuff for me. Okay. All my recent captures, and then you can also sort them by date. So anything that you've done in November, and if you had your computer for the last year and a half, there'd be a lot more to show.
Yeah.
Yep. By application, like which applications that you captured. So if you're like, oh, where's that? I know it was in Firefox, and I know I captured using that browser, or maybe you captured in Word, and you're looking for a particular capture that you did in an application. You can use that to find it. So you can do click on any of those.
So by
here's another one
that you captured from.
Right, exactly.
This is so helpful for, you mentioned you've got those like really official ones that you just save off as files, but you found that really funny picture of your friend on Facebook and you were making fun of them, but like you can't find that page again. And this is great for being able to find that image that you captured 3 months ago, or go through this 3 months later. That's what's really fun. Is when did I capture? Why did I capture this? What did I use this for?
Oh, okay, yeah. So websites, that's another one too that you can do it by website. So let's see. I was looking for, what was I doing on bikes or hikes? Did this really cool hike, and I took a screenshot of that. So basically, you can look by what website you were looking for. The other thing I want to show too is that if you click on an image, and you're going to want to go in the tags toolbar, which I didn't mention. In order to add some of this stuff, which I'm going to show you, you can tag your images with various keywords.
Okay.
And so this particular hiking trip was to Mount Assiniboine, so I basically put a tag of Assiniboine on this particular image. But what's also cool is the details that it gives you. The application you were in when you captured it, the website that you were on, as well as like the date and time. And you can even click on more details, which gives you the location. Notice I haven't saved this. We had talked about saving it, so it'll tell you if you had saved it and where you saved it, what the size is, when it was created, dimensions if that's important. So there's some kind of examples of things that you can look at in the details.
This is so incredibly helpful if you're maybe for Christmas. Christmas is coming up, right? And you're going to be looking for gifts for friends and family.
Yep.
This is great for research. I find myself using this a lot. We've we had a coworker that used this to do research for her wedding.
Yes.
And started grabbing all these different ideas for her weddings from all these different websites. Well, then rather than having to bookmark every individual one and keep track of those, she just had these screenshots.
Yep.
And then she could click and go back to that website if she wanted to find out more information. So this being able to look at when you captured it, where you captured it from,
right,
especially for research. Very
absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, it was funny that you mentioned that wedding. We're looking at remodeling our kitchen. So I have a keyword of kitchen.
Okay.
And then I have lots of, when I see a kitchen that I like, I just grab a screenshot of it and then just tag it with the keyword kitchen. And then it's right there. I can just click on it and see all the images that I want. And I've done it with like faucet and like, you know, where you're looking at different parts within the kitchen.
And you can have multiple keywords if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yep.
Okay. Yeah, I do it a lot of times with receipts. Keep track of this receipt. I don't really care.
Yep.
I don't want it in my inbox at least. So maybe just take a quick snag and then put receipt.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
You can always get to them later if you need to.
So the other thing that you can do too when you have an image is you can tag it with flags, or you can flag it. So we have some kind of like follow-up, and I like to do like, oh, cool idea, or just this is cool. So like if I click on cool to tag it, then when I go back on the flags and I go to cool, things I thought were cool, I can get those images back up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now if you go back into something, if you go back into that image that had a couple of keywords,
Let's see. Pretty sure these has a couple of keywords. Go ahead.
One thing that I find really helpful is once you've established a few keywords, that all keywords option just to the right of the keywords there, where you can just see all of the things, so you can kind of stay consistent.
Absolutely.
That's important to be able to find things. And then you'll always be able to look on the right there to be able to see how many are associated with each keyword. But that can be really helpful for just quickly, rather than typing them in if you don't remember, you can just select them from that list there. So.
Yep. And too, there's like two-word keywords. Make sure that when you're putting things that are two words that you just put quotes around the outside, and that'll like have it so it's together rather than two separate keywords.
Great.
Cool.
Before we move on, I just want to once again remind people that we've got a lot of great questions coming in. We've got just a bunch queued up already. We're going to get to those at the end. If you find this helpful, please send us an email message at webinars@techsmith.com. Perhaps we'll do some more in the future. And then also, we have a show that's put on monthly called The Forge. And if you haven't seen that yet, we encourage you to go ahead and check that out. The next one's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 13th. So the link for The Forge is on the blog page here on the far right. You can click on that, and it's also available via our YouTube channel.
Well, before we get to the questions, there is one cool thing that I want to show you is stamps. And you can put stamps on an image. I got this map image. This is where Mount Assiniboine is. And I kind of wanted to put like something else, because you know the Google, you put just that little A on there, and that's not that exciting. So I'm like, I want a star on there. So we have this stamps that come as default in there, and there's all different kinds of stamps. Letter stamps, number stamps, hand-drawn stamps, circle stamps. And we're actually putting out new stamps that you can download from our website too as well.
Okay.
And so if you just go to download more, that'll take you right to the site, and you can add more stamps.
Oh, great.
Yep. So I'll just show you an example of how to use that. I'm going to use this star. And you just click on it, and it puts it right on your picture. You can size it. So I kind of got a star thing going on. The other cool thing that I really like is that you can make your own stamps. Okay, so you go to Organize Stamps, and it brings up this Organize Stamps window. And basically what you need to do is just make sure that you save out or you save an image that you create.
Okay.
And then you can put any image in here.
So a stamp is essentially some sort of image that you're putting on top of it. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to just, I have this, I have a picture, or a image that I created actually in Snagit.
So you created this with Snagit, you saved it, and
that was kind of fast.
You're bringing it up.
Yeah, so basically what I do is navigate to wherever it's stored, then I click on it. Now this is a ping, so there are multiple image types that are available. You can do JPEG, GIF, bitmap, those kind of things. Okay, then you just click on it and click open, and it'll go right into the window. So you can see these are some googly eyes that I made in Snagit, okay? And then I'm going to close that. And I really need an appropriate, well, first let's show you where it is. So under My Stamps. and then the googly eyes are right in there. So I definitely need an appropriate image to use.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so I had this really weird guy, this funny looking guy, and when I saw this picture, I'm like, this is perfect. Like, so now,
googly eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go to My Stamps, I'm going to click on Googly Eyes, and then I'm just going to click on my friend Walter here, and we got these awesome, awesome eyes.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Looks great. I'm very surprised.
Are you?
Yeah.
You look very surprised. It's like the cartoons when it's like coming out of the screen.
I actually call that image surprise.jpg, so that works out really well.
Perfect. Well, you can change it to that now,
extra surprise.jpg now, yes.
Okay, so that's how you make your own stamps, and I think you told me before that you have like folders that you make?
Yeah, I create entire folders of fun stamps for people. There's a guy that we work with, AJ, and I created a approval stamp of AJ with his thumbs up, and so anytime I see something that AJ would approve of that, I just go to that stamps folder, click approved by AJ, and it's really nice if in that stamp, if you go back to that stamps folder and you click organize stamps, and then there's a button on the lower left, stamp folder. Basically, anything that you put in that folder, any image that you found or any fun sort of thing. Sometimes we do. My boss uses a denied stamp on me a lot of times. I'll ask for PTO, and he'll just put a big denied across my request. You can just throw those images in that folder, and those will automatically just show up as stamps for you. So that's kind of neat. So if you want to, take a bunch of stamps from one machine, put them in another, you just drag that folder, and it could be a group of files in there, a bunch of folders. Just put them in there, and they'll automatically show up in your stamps.
Awesome.
So
that's a good idea. Okay.
So we've looked at. We've looked at going to Word. We looked at going to PowerPoint. What about and screencast.com? What if we wanted to go somewhere else? What if I'm a OneNote user and I use it constantly? Can I use Snagit with something like OneNote?
Yeah, we have many outputs also available on our website to download. So these are just the outputs that come here in the Share tab. These are just the default ones, basically.
Okay.
Another thing that you bring up, I'll show you how you can get more. Okay, in the accessories manager, and now you can click in there and it'll take you to get more accessories. It'll take you to our website and you can download more. And this is how you actually manage your accessories. So if you decide that you don't want something in there, you can remove it using this button here.
Okay, so if it's not something that you use that often, or you can just, you can reorganize them. You don't necessarily have to use all these.
Correct.
Can we look at some of the other accessories that are available?
Yep.
So this is what I think something that makes Snagit really, really flexible is I want to share so if you happen to be a Camtasia Relay customer, you can do that. But I mean, some common ones, I would say Twitter.
Facebook, absolutely. Evernote.
All those Evernote customers out there, download these, and then you can just really, really quickly share out your images, share out your text. If you're a developer type, there's Visual Studio, WordPress. I mean, we got all kinds of different options there. So we encourage you to check those out and have those available in your as some of your sharing options. These are all free, by the way.
Yes.
You can do all of these for free.
Yep. And while we're here on this site, we'll also point out that right on the top of there's also a link to download the more stamps on that page too, so you can go there that way. There's also some profiles, and we didn't talk about profiles, but maybe we have a second to do that real quick.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So these are some profiles that we set up that we thought might be handy. And let me talk to you about what a profile is. These are really cool. So we'll close
this is where Snagit, we're getting into like the power user section of Snagit, but this is where Snagit is super flexible, very, very flexible for what you want to do.
So basically, we've included some profiles that we think might be handy. Okay, so basically what a profile does, what it predetermines something about what you're capturing. Like it could be the capture type. So it could be like a window, a fixed region here on. When you're the way you can adjust those is going to be different depending on whether you're an image or video. So make sure that you have image selected, and then you'll be able to select the capture types for image. Okay. So there's all these different types of capture types that you can do. Like freehand allows you to freehand a selection. Region, you can just do a region on there.
Show us one?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do one of these.
Okay, let's do...
freehand is a fun one.
Freehand, all right, let's see. We can do... Okay, so we're going to... I'm going to just use my hotkey this time. Okay, and basically what this allows you to do is just kind of draw around an image to capture. Okay, and then that comes up, and again, remember the transparent background? You can kind of see that. So everything that you didn't capture is going to show up as transparent behind that. So you can see, well, I'll just change the background here. A canvas color, you can see if I made it to red. Gotcha. You can kind of see that that would be what it would look like. And you can be a little more precise than I was there, obviously.
Well, there's a couple of ways that you could probably do that. You could capture it and then erase, but then that's nice. If you know that there's a specific border thing that you want, then you could just capture it using that freehand.
Yep. And then, if you didn't get it quite right, you can always bring it into the editor and then adjust it a little further from there. So, we didn't talk about that, but there is an eraser tool.
So what if I want to do this?
So you can continue to do that.
I want to do this capture again and again. There's a specific type of capture that I know I want to capture, going out to Word, I want to shrink it down, I want to maybe add a drop shadow or something.
Yep.
Can I do that? How would I do that with Snagit?
You can. So we'll bring up the capture window again. So we changed that to freehand. So let's say that you wanted to share it to, maybe it was going to go, you just wanted it to go to the clipboard, or now let's do something more exciting than that. Let's put it to PowerPoint since we got it open. And then I think you said a drop shadow. Okay, so we want it to have a drop shadow on it. So we'll add that. Okay, and then we can click here, and that will just save the current settings as a new profile. Okay, and so this is freehand to PowerPoint, and I actually like that. It's a good name. Sometimes it'll be a little bit long. You might want to shorten it up, or maybe you have something that you do.
Like I'm a project. Like you just name it.
Yep, and you name it that project. Absolutely. And the other thing that's cool is you can designate a hotkey for it. So you can, if you wanted to make something separate from the actual hotkey that you use to do normal captures, you can do that.
Gotcha. So you've got your normal capture, and then every time you're working on that one project, you can hit Control Shift, P or Q or whatever you want to.
Exactly.
To do it. Okay.
Yep. And then when you're done, you just click Save. And that's going to add a new profile. So then anytime you want to use that profile, you can use the hotkey, or you can just click on it and then click the capture button.
Okay, can we see that in action?
You can, yep. So we'll do that again. We're back on on our website, and we're going to cut this area out right here. Whee, oops, that was not pretty.
That's all right.
And there you go. Okay, notice it has a nice drop shadow on it.
Yep.
Okay.
And then to fit it and to get it back into PowerPoint?
And then to get it back into PowerPoint, we just click Finish. And it tells you that it was successfully sent there. We could actually go there to see it.
Gotcha.
But there it is.
So that's super, super quick to be able to set a bunch of different settings at once, even if you wanted to resize it or add, all those different effects, a lot of those different effects, you can add those and make sure it's consistent just by using that same profile again and again.
Yeah, I've heard some customers like to use it to get exact size. So they'll do like a 400 by 400 image or something like that. So that's nice.
Great. Great. Well, we've covered a lot of stuff. We want to make sure we get to your questions right now. So let's do that. Marjorie asks, how do I keep a screen window with key tips showing when I go to Snagit? So how do I keep a screen or window with key tips showing when I go into Snagit?
You can, what I would suggest is use your hotkey for capture. So basically, you can also use a time delay, but I feel that using the hotkey is the easiest. So basically, let's say I was going into Word, and first let me make sure that we got our capture type reset to image. Okay, so let's say it's Word, and I want to do I want to capture that. Yeah. I can leave it open, and then I just hit my hotkey, and then it will come up, and it'll already be open.
Nice.
So you can also use again that to capture just that if it's
it recognizes that area.
Yep. So you can do that for like menus or those kind of things that show up on your screen, like error messages or something like that. If you just hit your hotkey.
Okay. Yep. Great question. Let's expand this so I can see the full question. What is the difference between an image capture and a region capture? So. What is the difference? I mean, I think it says what is the difference between what you just showed, and that was a while ago, so I'm not sure exactly what you just showed. But what is the difference? I mean, what is the difference between some of these capture types that you're talking about? In an image, right now we've got this all-in-one. What are those different options?
Well, the all-in-one actually, you can do a region capture in there. So you can do a region capture, you can do it's basically, you can do region capture, you can select the window or the different area. Remember how we highlighted on the top of the screen or the taskbar or something like that. So you can do that. You can actually just do a full screen by clicking on the screen. It'll capture everything on your screen.
Gotcha.
You can do the scrolling capture. So the all-in-one basically encompasses a lot of things.
Okay.
So you would select these if you wanted to do specific, but they are included. You can do these within all-in-ones. You wouldn't necessarily have to select that if you didn't want to.
All-in-one really was designed to make it a lot easier, and it definitely does.
Yep.
It's a combination of region, window, scrolling window.
Yep.
If you do, and full screen, like you mentioned. But if you do menu or freehand, those are specific, those are different types of captures that you can set up, like a delay, for instance, on the menu. Would you like to show the menu capture?
Sure.
How that differs? That's quite a bit different.
Well, we actually have, I was going right to delay. We have a 10-second delay set up with menu capture, like a profile. So if you select that, what that's going to do is that menu that I brought up, if you click it or use your hotkey.
So you can start, even before you have it selected, you could start.
Yep, I could just click this button here, and it's going to give me a countdown, and then I'm in Word, and so I'm going to get ready to bring up my menu.
Okay.
Okay, and then
there we go.
Yep, and so then it pops that up right into the Snagit editor, and you can adjust it there.
That could be really helpful for those windows that are pesky. They keep disappearing on you.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, every time I try to do something, even maybe sometimes with a hotkey, depending on the program, it always wants to hide that window and say, oh, I want to capture that. That delayed capture, menu capture can help you out a great deal.
And you notice that I was kind of waiting for it. So maybe that 10 seconds was a little bit long. If you click on this little clock down here at the bottom, you can change that delay here. You know, so if you don't want it 10 seconds, if you want it more like 5, or maybe that's too fast for you, maybe you got to go to a bunch of places and log in before you can do it or something like that. You might want to adjust it to be longer.
Gotcha.
But the other cool thing is there's a scheduled capture too. So if you want to schedule like a date and time for it to take a capture.
Nice.
Yep.
Power user tip right there, scheduled capture. That's cool. What happens if I want to capture multiple regions at the same time? So I got one area right up here, and I got another area down here, but I still want them to be part of the same image. Is there a way that we can do that?
Yep, there's a multiple area capture.
Okay.
So you just click on multiple area capture. Kind of tells you what it is, but okay. So I'll find a website that has multiple things. Let's see.
Okay.
What was it actually? Yeah, there was a couple images in here, right?
There we go. So that image on the upper right, lower left.
Yep. Okay, so now I'll do did it not select? Nope. Multiple area. Oh, sorry, I right-clicked and clicked Finish.
Okay.
Okay, so then when you get there, you can see that both of them are in your, kind of in the screen where you wanted them to be. Yep.
So once you capture, you just right-click, and then any areas that you had caught in multiple captures, so there could be 3, 4, 10 if you want, will all show up there. Great. All right, our next question here is, I'm confused on why my version of Snagit doesn't have the green finish check like yours does. Is this a version thing, or is this something I need to set as a default option? Let's look at, we mentioned at the beginning that there's so many versions of Snagit. Sometimes at shows I'll be talking to somebody and they say, oh, I'm a great Snagit user, I love Snagit. And they'll say, do you have any idea what version you have? And it's like 4 or 5. I don't even know what image formats existed in 4 or 5. Maybe bitmaps? I don't know. That's Windows 3 one day, so I'm not sure. So we encourage you to update. It's inexpensive software. Also, if you have, if you're under maintenance, you can check to see if your organization's under maintenance. You might automatically have a free upgrade. So we encourage you to do that, to check that out. But how do you check to see what version of Snagit you have?
You would go to Help and then About Snagit. And then it'll tell you what your version is right there.
And the latest version, and it should show you a lot of times the date.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Right there's the date.
Now, what happens if a customer wants to upgrade from one version to the next version, and they have their library, assuming that they're on like was it 9 or 10? Will that stuff carry forward, or are they going to have to worry about losing all the stuff that they've already captured?
If you're on the same machine, it will ask you when you're doing the install if you want to keep that, and then you can keep all that from version to version. Yep,
Great.
Absolutely.
Or you can even export that.
You can export it. Yep, if you want to, if you're moving to a different computer. Yep, you can export that.
Okay, great. We're getting low on time here, but I want to try to get to as many of these questions as possible. We've got quite a few more, so you can always just sign off right when we hit the hour mark. This will be available later. Once again, you'll get the hyperlink, but I think we're going to go a little bit longer today because we got a lot of questions. Let's see. This person would like to annotate a video in Snagit on the canvas. Will they ever be able to annotate a video on the canvas using Snagit?
Well, basically what we can do here is just kind of record, and we can do the annotations and callouts and that kind of thing on images, but not on video. But we do have Camtasia Studio, or if you're on a Mac, we have CMac too, and that will allow you to do all kinds of video editing, including annotations and stuff.
Gotcha. So this person did mention Camtasia. That isn't planned right now for Snagit. Snagit's going to be that easy capture, click a button, send it to YouTube, get a link. And if you wanted, and it can do unlimited time, right? I mean, a difference between that and Jing is Snagit can do unlimited video.
Within reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to
walk away from your computer, right? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But,
really big file.
Absolutely, but more than 5 minutes, right?
Yep.
That's something that we often get when I'm at a trade show. People will come up and they'll have to admit to me. They say, "Well, you know, I don't actually use Snagit. I use a competitor. I use Jing, a free competitor, Jing." I said, "Wait, that's not a competitor. We make Jing." But what they'll sometimes say to me is, I use Jing because I like the workflow, and I can't do that in Snagit. And to which I say, "Blasphemy! That's wrong." I don't actually shout at them. I shout in my head. But how could you accomplish, if people are comfortable with Jing, how could they accomplish a Jing-like workflow in Snagit if they wanted to?
Well, we do have in Snagit one click, and basically it's this. That was fast. Sometimes I'm a little fast. All right. If you click right here in the quick launch, we have this thing called one click, and it's kind of like Jing. Has kind of this interface that has the image, video, and text, like the basic capture profiles that are up here. And basically what it does is live kind of up on the edge of your screen. You can kind of see that when I go away from it, that little orange thing right there. And as I get close to it,
around, you kind of can do that as well.
Yep,
right?
you can. You can put it on the side of your screen, or you can either side of your screen. So, and the other thing you can do is you can create a profile that might have like a different, or like a hotkey that's Jing-like if you wanted to share things really quick out. Like you can just go right to your, screencast.com or something like that too, if you wanted the speedy capture and share.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's one thing that people that use Jing really like is that when they click, they get that hyperlink, right, to screencast. And we do have a time-saving profile in the list here that says share to screencast.com.
Yep,
so
right here.
Not only could you do that, but if you wanted to, if you're a little more nerdy and you got your own website like I do, you can go right out to your FTP server and get a link. So Snagit is a lot more powerful, although you could still have those same that same nice workflow, right, that you have with Jing. You don't have the sun. I guess that's the big thing that you're missing is that little sun at the top of the screen. Let's see. A question from Denise: is there a difference in the file size of a Word/PowerPoint, etc. document when you use copy and paste versus share? She says, we use share because we think it saves on the file size in the destination document.
I am unaware of a difference between those, but there might be. I don't know, Walter, have you?
I think when you go share and you go into, that's a good question. I think when you go share and you go into the document, I think that it doesn't do any extra compression. I believe it just sharing it to the clipboard and going in there. If I'm wrong, though, we've got our lead developer in another room,
in there.
and I expect to see a message any moment now telling me you are wrong. But I believe it's essentially the same thing. So if you go share and it goes into It is a little bit different, I believe, if you say I want to share it to a file first, save it to a file, and then import it.
Yes.
So that would make a difference in terms of file size. So let me know if I'm wrong, Jason. Diane's got a question. 2 other questions regarding sizing and another question about the drawing tools. I'd like to draw a shape and then add text. Can this be done in one swoop? Can you draw and then write text within one swoop, within one click, essentially?
Oh, I don't know about one click. You could use a callout, maybe. And this is my googly eye callout, and then you can type text right in it. So you could. The callouts, I know you're like, oh, a callout has these little tails, but if you want to make them a shape, like a circle or something like that, you can just bring the tail in, and then it's a shape.
Okay.
And the other thing you can do is you can change it. So like if you don't want, I have some effects on that from the last thing that I drew. Okay, so like you could take your shadow on or off. You could change the fill. So like if you wanted this to be a red circle, if you want to add an outline, change an outline, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So with those callouts, yes, a lot of those callouts have the text built right into them. If you were doing something like a stamp, you're not going to be able to automatically add text on that, but you can add the stamp and then add the text over top of it.
Yep, and there's also we have, in addition to the shapes, you can also add text to that too with one click. I mean, it's 2 clicks, one for the shape, but one for the text. But you can put those, like if you wanted to type, you can just put that like that. One thing that I wanted to just real quick, if you use like these shapes or some of our styles in here, and then you change it to make it your own style. If you want to use that a lot, we talked about profiles and time saving and stuff like that. You can do what's called add it to quick styles. Just make sure that you have your image selected or whatever item you're working on, if it's a call out or whatever, and just click add to quick styles. And then you can use that later. So like if you wanted to have, if you had, let's see.
So you want that, but you want it to be blue or something.
You can change it to blue or purple or whatever, and then you can save it to your quick styles. So add to quick styles.
Gotcha. Or the text within that, the type of text that you use. There's a specific font that you just love. You can go ahead and do that. I do that a lot with the arrows. I have a specific arrow type of the right, width and color. Just go ahead and save that to your quick styles. Bob asked a question. We answered it just a moment ago. Is there any limit to the length of a recording? There's no limit to the length of a recording in Snagit. There's none of that 5-minute limit. Diana asked a question. Can you import a video from YouTube and edit the file? You could import an MP4. But there's no editing in Snagit. So if you want to do editing, you're going to want a Camtasia Studio type product. Gotcha. The video that gets created, can you load that into an LMS, a learning management system? You can load it into anything that would take an MP4. Okay. Yep. So a lot of times people will put it on screencast.com or on YouTube and then take the embed code. There's something called the embed code, which makes a video look like it's in somewhere else, even though it's being hosted on Screencast or on YouTube. So we've got instructions on our website that explain how to do that in more detail. Good question from a user. Can people without Snagit view the videos created in Snagit? Absolutely. Yep, it's an MP4, which is shareable to all of those locations. And they could view it even if you somehow got them the file. Great. Even though they're big, so you don't want to email those again. So. And that MP4, that's an we'll get real nerdy here for a second, H.264 encoded MP4 with AAC encoding. That's the same sort of high definition format that it's on YouTube HD videos. It's what plays on iPads and iPhones and stuff. So there's that format itself is the industry standard format. What are the size and quality differences between video made with Snagit and the ones made with Camtasia? Well, the size is something that you choose on your own. So whether you're using Camtasia or Snagit, you're going to want to select that. Well, I guess there's 2 things for size, right? There's going to be the resolution. And then there's going to be like the file size. And do you have any control? Like, you don't really have any control in Snagit over the file size. We just choose for you. We kind of try to optimize it as best as possible. In Camtasia Studio, basically, when it comes to video, you've got a lot more granular control. You can say, I want less quality, less file size, or higher quality, higher file size. So with Snagit, we just try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I was going to dimensions rather than size.
Yeah,
so,
in terms of resolution,
Yep.
that's something that they choose. John, how is the capture window on Windows, how different is the capture windows on Windows 8, the capture window on Windows 8 than previous versions?
Well, the capture window is the same on either version. So it's the capture window. You can, like Snagit 11 has the same capture window.
Okay.
Yep.
Will it work on Windows 8?
It will.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Question from Mike. When you make a video, can you save it in other formats other than MP4?
No, it is just an MP4.
Just an MP4.
Yep.
And that is really the most universal one.
Absolutely. Yep. That's why we chose it.
Pat asks, how do you delete some of the items in your library? Could you show us how to do that?
Sure. So you can just delete. You want to go in there, click on it, and delete.
So you can select it from the right-hand side, you know, in the library, and then just go ahead and delete.
That was really fast. I'm sorry. Right. I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit too fast for everybody. Wanted to get in as much as we can.
That's
so
good.
yeah, just make sure you select the library, find the image that you want, and you can use. Again, remember we had that search so you can show all your images. Yep. Find the one you want, right-click, and delete.
Gotcha. Another question from Pat. Please review again why you need Windows 7 or 8. You don't actually need Windows 7 or 8 to run Snagit. The only thing that we were mentioning is if you're using system audio, which is capturing the audio that's playing. When you're recording a video, you want to capture the same audio that's playing through your speakers. If you want high quality audio to get that, you need Windows 7 or 8 to have that system audio feature. Snagit will work in Windows XP. It'll work on previous versions of Windows. Windows Vista will work just fine. And then finally, what's the best way to reduce, or some ways to reduce file size of an image capture after you've done it, if you want to reduce some file size?
With resizing it, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think resizing is going to help. Also, the type of
you could do a different, you could do
format that you use is going to make a difference, whether or not it has transparency or no transparency.
JPEG versus PNG.
JPEG versus PNG. A lot of different options there. Typically for really good quality images that have a lot of color to them and stuff, JPEG's probably going to give you better compression than a PNG would. So you could always do that. And can you go ahead and show? I mean, we didn't go in to show like save as, but some of the options that you've got in the file.
Well, there was the resizing an image where you can change your resolution. I mean, obviously that's going to affect the quality of it, but in here you can change some of that. It wasn't exactly related to the question, but kind of. And then there's also, when you actually save the image under the File menu, if you go to Save As, this will, you can see there's Walter and his googly eyes, all the different options. So you can do a bitmap or GIF or JPEG. All of the files types are in there. One I did want to mention too is the SNAG file. If you're working on an image and it's got like a lot of different pieces to it, like you've added some callouts and some text, and you want to be able to edit that later, you want to make sure to save your image as a snag. And what that'll be able to do is allow you to go back and edit those things later. You can also, if maybe you're working on an image with someone, you can share that with them and they'll be able to edit that, as long as they have Snagit, of course. So
if you want to continue to use the editable pieces within that, save it as a snag, and then that person with Snagit can open it up and still manipulate it.
Yep, and that's an extension that's just specific to Snagit.
And one other thing regarding that file size, if it is a large image or a large video, one of the things that we encourage you to do is share it online. Share it via something like Screencast.
Absolutely.
Because then you're not sending these huge attachments. I get frustrated when people are sending me these really big mammoth attachments, whether it's images or video, when they could have just shared a hyperlink. And then it's up to me to just download it, click on that link and download it. That's a much better way of sharing it rather than just kind of saving it as a file. And sending it. That's old school. Use the interwebs. It's much better. All right, well, we've tackled all the questions. I'm sure there's going to be more. So where can people go if they have additional questions that they didn't get answered in this webinar? Where can they go for help? Where can they go for product suggestion, feature requests for Snagit?
Okay, well, we have our website. There's a couple different areas. You can go to support. And this is where you find tutorials in this tutorials area here.
So this is where you do your magic.
Yeah, this is where I do the magic. And right now we have version 11 and 2 are the current versions. And you can also get videos for 10 and for Snagit 1, 2 as well. Great. So you just go here and all of the videos that we have are all listed in here.
And those are all free? Available
free tutorials,
24 hours a day?
Absolutely.
So we use our own software to create our own tutorials. How novel is that?
When you actually come to, I just want to point this out. If you guys are watching the videos, there's actually a tutorial feedback. So if you see something in a tutorial, like you wanted us to go into more detail, or you just want to give us some feedback on that, or even if there's something that you thought that was going to contain but it didn't, you want to give us some feedback, ask for a different tutorial, use those surveys, because we read those, we read the comments. So. Great.
And if they wanted to give feedback for new features, new things that they wanted for the product?
We have a Get Satisfaction, okay, which is feedback.techsmith.com, and you can go there, and it's questions and feedback. If you don't want to remember that, it's under community and questions and feedback, and you just click on there, and it'll take you to the Get Satisfaction site. That's what I was talking about, and that basically what that does is it's kind of a community where people can search other people's questions. So maybe somebody else had the same problem that you're having, and so you can search for it there.
Great. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. We've got a YouTube page. We're connected. We're connected here. So thank you very much, Erika, for helping us out today. Erika is that person, once again, that puts that help content out there. So if there's things that you want to understand, if you haven't looked at the tutorials, we encourage you to check those out. Always available. If you need new ones, submit that.
Absolutely.
That feedback.
Yeah. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from customers. So.
Great. Once again, this will be available afterwards. It'll be available tomorrow probably. We'll send you a hyperlink to the video. You'll see it in all its 720p HD glory. And just want to remind you, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, December 13th is an episode of The Forge, if you'd be interested in that. And I'd just like to thank everybody here at TechSmith that's helped out for this webinar. That includes Kelly, Ashley, and everybody answering questions in the other room. Kate, Sarah, Tiffany, Jason, and Jesse. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. If you found this helpful, please email us at webinars@techsmith.com, and maybe we can do more of these for you in the future. Thank you very much, everybody.